Hey everyone, and welcome. So if you're using Kubernetes, you already know it's incredibly powerful. But you've also probably felt that nagging pain of trying to figure out what's actually running in your cluster at any given moment. Well, today we're going to fix that. We're diving into a much better way of doing things called GitOps, using an amazing tool called FluxCD.
You know that feeling, right? You look at a Kubernetes cluster and just wonder, what is going on in there? Did someone use Kubectl to sneak in a change late last night? Is our app deployment really up to date? When you're managing things by hand, it doesn't take long for your cluster to become a total mystery box.
So today, we're going to solve that mystery. First, we'll look at the old, painful way of doing things. Then, we'll talk about the GitOps philosophy and why it's such a game changer. We'll introduce our automated helper, Flux, see exactly how it works its magic, and wrap up by covering all the awesome benefits you get from making the switch. Okay, let's start with a little reality check. We need to talk about the traditional, manual way of managing deployments, because understanding the pain is key to appreciating the solution. This right here says it all. On the left, you've got the old manual approach. You're typing commands like kubectl apply directly into your terminal. It's so easy to make a typo. There's no real record of who changed what, and your staging environment starts looking nothing like production. And rolling back a bad change, it's a nightmare. But on the right, with GitOps, everything changes. It's automated, repeatable, and you have a perfect history of every single change right there in Git. And if something goes wrong, you just use a simple git revert. All right, so we've seen the problem. Let's talk about the solution. And that brings us to the core philosophy of GitOps, where everything, and I mean everything, starts with a single source of truth. The main idea behind GitOps is actually pretty simple. Your Git repository contains the entire desired state of your system. All of it. Your applications, your infrastructure, everything is declared in configuration files and stored in Git. The rule is simple. If it's in Git, it should be running in your cluster. If it's not in Git, it shouldn't be. That's it.
And the workflow is this beautiful, simple loop. First, a developer makes a change and pushes it to Git, just like they would with any other piece of code. Second, an agent running inside your cluster, that's Flux, is constantly watching that repository and it immediately detects that new commit. And finally, Flux gets to work, automatically reconciling the cluster state to perfectly match what's now defined in Git.
So we've covered the what and the why of GitOps. Now let's get to the how. The tool that makes all this magic happen is called Flux.
You know, this quote from the official documentation really nails it. Flux is basically this tireless little robot that lives in your cluster. Its one and only job is to make sure your cluster state perfectly mirrors what's in your Git repository. It's the bridge that connects your code to reality. Now, Flux isn't just one thing. It's a team of specialized components working together. You have the source controller, which is like the lookout. Its job is to watch Git for any changes. Then you have the Customize and Helm controllers. They're the workers who actually apply your configurations, whether they're simple files or complex Helm charts. And finally, there's the Notification controller, which is like your helpful assistant, sending you a quick message on Slack to let you know a deployment is done. Okay, theory is great, but let's see what this looks like in the real world. How do you actually get Flux up and running? Well, it's a lot easier than you might think.
It all kicks off with this one command, Flux Bootstrap. Seriously, this thing is like a magic wand. You run it and it installs all the Flux components into your cluster. It can create the Git repository for you and it connects the two together. It tells Flux exactly which repository, which branch, and which folder to start watching. This is the command that brings your cluster to life.
So what does that repository look like? It can be as simple as this. You have a folder for your cluster, in this case, production, and inside you just have your standard Kubernetes YAML files. Here we're defining a namespace and a deployment. This folder structure is now the absolute source of truth for our production environment.
And this is the part we've all been waiting for. Everything is set up. So what happens when you need to, say, update your application to use a new container image?
This is where the magic happens. Instead of SSHing into a server and running a bunch of commands, you just change one line in a text file. You commit that change, you push it to Git, and that's it. You're done. Flux sees that change, it automatically pulls it down, and it applies the update to the cluster. You never have to touch the cluster directly for deployments again. It's completely hands-off.
Now that we've seen how it all works, let's zoom out and really appreciate why this is such a huge deal. This is why it all matters.
The benefits are just fantastic. First, full auditability. Want to know who changed what, when, and why? Just check the Git log. Second, rollbacks are a breeze. If a new deployment breaks something, you don't panic. You just run git revert, and Flux will automatically roll the cluster back to the last known good state. Third, security is way better. Flux pulls changes from inside the cluster, so you never expose your cluster's credentials to an external CI server. And finally, you get consistency. You can sleep well at night knowing that what's in your main branch is exactly what's running in production.
And this isn't some experimental fringe tool we're talking about. Flux is a graduated project with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. That's the same organization that manages Kubernetes itself. That means it's in the top tier of maturity and reliability, trusted by huge companies all over the world. When you boil it all down, it's about a fundamental shift in mindset. You stop managing your cluster by running a series of commands and start managing it by making commits. Your cluster's state becomes a direct reflection of your code, giving you a level of control and visibility that just wasn't possible before.
So there you have it. By automating away all the risky, tedious parts of deployments, GitOps with Flux gives you back your most valuable resource, your time. You can stop worrying about deployments and get back to focusing on what really matters, building awesome things. So I'll leave you with this one question. With all this newfound power and automation, what will you build next?